Dr. Sujit Kumar Misra. Sujit Kumar Misra has done his fellowship in the anterior segment from Arvinda, and then he was consultant in Lotus Eye Hospital, and now working in Patna. He's joint secretary of Bihar Ophthalmological Society also. He would be taking a very important topic, that is phaco in post-LASIK and RK patients. Nowadays, many myope patients have undergone LASIK and RK. Those patients are now growing older, and these patients require cataract surgery sooner or some maybe in years to come. So you have to approach them in a different way. So Dr. Sujit will throw some light on how you approach these patients. So Dr. Sujit, please.
Thank you very much, Subhash sir, for this opportunity. I'll be talking on phaco in post-LASIK and RK cases. I have no financial. Almost 40 million patients have undergone refractive surgery in the last 20 years and form a sizable population. And what we have to understand about patients. So we have to sensitize them about the post-operative inaccuracies in terms of refractive error. The challenges are multifold, which can be grouped into preoperative, intraoperative, and postoperative. In preoperative, biometry is the major challenge, but at the same time, operating myopic eyes have its own set of concerns, and it is very prudent to address those issues. Then these myopic eyes, there may be chances of glaucoma, so baseline IOP measurement should be there. In post-operative period also, it should be taken care of. Then the status of granules should be assessed, and dry eye should be taken care of. Regarding selection of IUL, it is very important to use negative spherical aberration IULs that will take care of higher order aberrations that is induced by laser vision correction. Multifocal IULs better be avoided. Coming to the biometry portion, axial length in myopic eyes is just like in other cases. The main concern is getting keratometry and IUL power calculation formulas. So for keratometry, we all understand that it is based on certain assumptions, which is grossly violated in keratomeliosis, and anterior-posterior relationship is changed. But this change in corneal surface doesn't change the relationship between cornea and the lens position. That is, ELP is not changed. So there lies the concept of ELP. And because of this Aramberry double K method was introduced. Pre-operative K value is used to measure ELP, and post-refractive surgery K is used in Virgin's formula to get the IUL power. So we are left with two major tasks. One is to adjust the corneal power measurement, and IUL power formula selection that takes care of ELP. A lot of formulae are there, but for measuring cornea, we can broadly classify into these groups. That is clinical history method, hard contact lens method is less accurate, so not discussed. Topography based post-LASIK adjusted keratometry, central ring topography method, and net corneal power measurement. Clinical history method, let me simplify you. Suppose 44 diopter was the before surgery keratometry, and surgery has been done to correct 7 diopters of myopia. So this method, what it says, you subtract that minus 7 diopters from the 44, so you get 37 diopters of keratometric value. In topography-based post-LASIK adjusted keratometry, certain adjustment factors are taken into account, which is calculated by trial and hit and trial and error methods. Like in Koch and Wang, you have certain correction factor. Sharma's formula, you have certain correction factor. Then another method is topographic central corneal power adjustment method. Here, central corneal power measurement is taken, and each diopter of myopic correction is reduced by 19%. So this will give you the modified IUL power. Central ring topography method is used for post-RK cases. The average value of 3 mm area is taken and put into double K formula to get the IUL power. Then comes the net corneal power measurement. Here lies the role of instrumentations, and various instruments can be slit lamp scanning tomography or shine flood photography or OCT methods, and you use these value into various formula to get the power. The cases where you have irregular corneas and you have irregular astigmatism, epithelial ingrowth, DLK or keratoconus and ectasias, there you have to be extra cautious in explaining and counseling to the patients that despite all care, some possibilities of error will be there. Coming to IOL power formula selection, two sets of data is the ideal situation where you have pre and post K value and pre and post of refraction. But always you will not have all those data, and various permutations and combinations will be available. So broadly, the formula can be grouped into methods relying entirely on historical data, methods using historical data and current corneal measurements, and methods using only current corneal measurements. Let us take one prototype Friesman's method. What it will do, it will take pre-LASIK keratometry, and this calculate and will use axial length, and this calculated pre-op IOL power is increased by the amount of refractive change at the spectacle plane, and this is divided by 0.7. In corneal bypass method, what you do, pre-LASIK keratometry and post-LASIK axial length is taken, and target refraction is set for the pre-LASIK spherical equivalent. So basically, suppose -5 diopter was corrected, so post-op value you don't keep 0, you don't keep okay, you keep it -5, and that way you calculate for the IOL power. So various formulas are there, and for double K, Aramberry double K formula, these are the tables that are available, which takes into account for correction of formula. Then in Haigis L formula, which is incorporated into IOL master, the formula applies a correction curve to the existing measurement to derive the effective corneal power, thereby bypassing both keratometry and radius errors. So these subset of data are collected over the years, and it is based on the LASIK database and only suitable for post-laser vision correction eyes, not for post-RK cases. Then you have online calc value. As you can see in the second slide, you will get a range of power. All these things are means elaborate discussion. I'm just giving you a concise overview. Then in post-RK cases, there is important phenomena of post-op decay, that is hyperopic shift. So one suggestion is, if you have 4 to 6 RK cuts, then you add 1.5 diopters. If you have 8 incision cuts, you add 2 diopters, and more than 8 incision, you can add 2.5 diopter to take care of the post-op decay that may occur 2 months, 3 months down the line. Then for high myopic eyes, you have to take care of peri and intraoperative challenges. Chances of complications are high in these cases. And then in high myopia, you may have lens iris diaphragm retropulsion syndrome. And what you have to do is to just lift the iris to relieve the reverse pupillary block that occurs in this situation. American Academy has certain recommendations for myopic eyes, like maintain viscoelastic pressure head, incision leakage should be avoided, and when you take the peptoprobe out, you inject viscoelastic before that, so the anterior chamber flutter is avoided. You see this case, multiple cuts. So what we have to take care of in these cases, that it is advisable to make sclerocorneal tunnel. Thank you, Dr. Subhash sir, for providing me with this wonderful video. You can see sclerocorneal tunnel has been fastened, and in case intraoperatively, if there is gap in any of the cuts, it's very, very necessary, very important to suture those gaps, so that you don't have post-operative leaks in such cases. Wonderful post-op result, you can see quite high. Here, although less cuts are there and intervening cornea is there, so we have gone for clear corneal incision in this case. And again, thanks again, Dr. Subhash sir, for this wonderful video. The surgery was completed in a routine fashion, but the problem with this case was we had some surprise post-operatively, and although we have to wait for some significant time before the refraction is stabilized, but patient was very unhappy. So we had to do lens exchange in this case and replace with the new intraocular lens. Post-operatively, the possibility of a steroid response you have to keep in mind, and then incidence of retinal detachment, development of glaucoma, all those things you have to take care of. And if later on NDI capsulotomy is needed, then it should be done with low energy. Thank you very much.
Excellent presentation, Dr. Sujit. One question, how long do you wait for this lens exchange in case of RK?
So 2 to 3 months time we should wait. Sir.
And what is the role of artificial intelligence in IL power calculation, in particularly in current era when we are talk lot of artificial intelligence?
Sir, it is immense. It is immense. Actually, Hill RBF and all, Hill RBF, which is artificial intelligence based formula. So it does pattern recognition. So because inter-tissue relationship cannot be predicted. So the only way is to create such a huge database that the machine will predict, okay, with these subset of data, this eye falls into this pattern of eye. So there is immense possibilities, sir. We are entering into a new world with this artificial intelligence.
The most important issues have been in post LASIK vision correction or RK, the refractive surprise. So that has been taken care by the new generation formulas and the artificial intelligence and the invent of the so many new gadgets and machines like the machine which calculates the corneal curvature anterior and posterior both. So in coming years, we are less likely to see refractive surprise. Thank you, Sujit, for a very wonderful presentation on